Good morning, first of all. No pressure, this is the first time storytelling over here, so you can regard me as a virgin storyteller, as opposed to Lawrence van der Post that was mentioned, who also comes from South Africa, by the way. So just bear with me. Okay. I was given the task of talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly, relating to the true frontier story of demand-side management in South Africa. Unfortunately, you have to live with me, the ugly, and I'll start talking to you about the good and the bad relating to integrated and demand-side management as we know it. So contrary to popular belief, South Africa does not only exist and is not only focused on the good, our South African rugby stories, the bad, Oscar Pistorius, who I'm sure you're all aware of his trial right now, and the ugly, who we are hosted by the All Black rugby team. They're not that bad, but when it comes to competition between South Africa and New Zealand, we are talking about the ugly. The South Africa, just by way of introduction, is known as the Rainbow Nation. Our father of the nation, Nelson Mandela, you see there with a compact fluorescent lamp many years ago, he phrased what is known as the Rainbow Nation when we transformed from the apartheid South Africa to a democratic South Africa in 1994. Why the Rainbow Nation, you would ask? Because if you look at the Rainbow Nation, that covers most of the colors, but strangely enough, neither black nor white, and what South Africa's population is made up of blacks and whites, form part of the rainbow. But Archbishop Desmond Tutu coined this phrase, and then during the inauguration of Nelson Mandela as the first democratically elected president, he spoke about the Rainbow Nation in South Africa. But now we're talking about rainbows, and I was asked to talk about demand-side management, how do the two correlate. If you look at rainbows and DSM, there are some similarities. Rainbows have lots of colors, making up something very beautiful. South Africa, we have 11 official languages, which makes it very difficult to communicate to our customers. Rainbows are very visible, and in South Africa, we have a high literacy rate. And those points were there, and you can read them off the time. But the problem is, which way does the wind blow? How do we address which areas and where do we focus on? So the wind blows in different directions, and unfortunately South Africa, due to our current situation where the demand has exceeded the supply quite substantially, it becomes very difficult to choose a direction. Beauty being the good, the bad, and the ugly, I think that relates to the good right now on the left-hand side of the screen. Now, relating this to the South African social scene, we do have the good, the bad, and the ugly. We have very wealthy people, we have middle-income people, we have very poor people. South Africa, because we're so diverse in this Rainbow Nation, we don't just have high, middle, and low income. We have a living standard measure rating system, and we have from LSM 1 to 10, being 1 being very, very poor, to 10 being very, very wealthy. You look at this in relation to DSM, what is good, what is bad, and what is ugly in this particular case. You'll see even what would be known as slums, our shack dwellers, we electrify everyone and anyone as a result of our fairy tale story to a transition to a rainbow nation. But the good become the bad when it comes to DSM, because the good, living in a house like that, swimming pool and all the amenities, from a DSM point of view, these people don't have a problem about paying their electricity bills, so they don't have any incentive to save electricity. They'll just continue using it and using it and using it, and they'll just pay the bill at the end of the day. So there's no incentive to save. The bad become the ugly, because now we're electrifying all these new houses that we're building, 3,000 houses a month. We're electrifying 3,000 new connections a month, and these are all contributing to the demand for our electricity. So from an energy or DSM point of view, the bad become the ugly, because they're just pushing up that peak demand at certain periods of the day. Well, the ugly, they become the good, unfortunately, because they don't have access to any energy and they don't contribute to our DSM profile or our national profile. And unfortunately, socially speaking, that's not the way you want to go. But from a DSM point of view, that is the way we do want to go. So you sit with this bit of a dilemma right now in how do you address this particular problem. From the DSM point of view, the good, the bad, and the ugly all contribute. That's the South African national load profile. It's got peak here since 2008, and we just cannot meet the demand between 7 and 9 in the evenings. So we have resulted in some very serious problems in South Africa because revenue generated by the ugly has become a key point. So the local authorities will say, well, well, we don't want to implement demand-side management in this particular instance because we need the revenue to subsidize other services in a local authority. So let them use the stuff because they are not generating it. We have a national utility that has to generate it. So the result is we had rolling blackouts in South Africa. The fairy tale came to an end as far as electrification for all. We had, just in the last 3 weeks, we've had 3 declared states of emergency in South Africa where we've nearly lost the grid completely, and we had to have national load shedding on the 6th of March, the week before last, which was inconveniencing large industries, South Africa being an industrial nation. So the dilemma is, do we go for short-term cosmetic surgeries to get to that magical number 42, see, that you referred to, or do we go to a longer-term integrated demand management solution? Because the short-term cosmetic thing will not last forever. But right now in South Africa, we need short-term solutions, but we also have to look at the sustainability of that. So some of the current solutions we're doing to try and reach that magical number 42 that Sia referred to is we've got a 1 million solar water heater program for residential houses. We've got a comprehensive integrated demand management utility-based program funded through the tariff. We've been handing out CFLs and LEDs, 60 million of them. And we look at all the traditional things that we're all fully familiar with when we talk about DSM stories. We look at the environmental impacts, we look at the technology, we look at the awareness, we look at the economic impacts. And in South Africa, where we have a very high unemployment rate, we have to always consider the job impacts, job losses as a result of DSM, as well as jobs created. But understanding and changing behavior, which we'll be talking about over the next few days, is still a problem, because what is a priority for someone? The ugly don't regard a solar water heater as making them look good, but having a beamer parked in the garage into a house with no electricity, that is something that people can relate to. And that's the situation we have in South Africa, where priorities are slightly different. So, ladies and gentlemen, in terms of this fairy tale story, we have got no choice but to continue seeking that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, that elusive pot of gold. That picture is our revenue services in South Africa, and that is a real picture with a rainbow falling right on top of our revenue services who collect our taxes every month and every year. They like to show that picture quite often to say that they aren't that bad after all. So I just want to say thank you very much. We have to move, we have to transport from this very ugly situation, using the right language, using the right vehicles, to get to a situation where we can also stand back and say, we've solved everything, we can now plant trees and make the country look good. Thank you very much.